Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel today. Thank you for coming to visit with us today. Now in today's video, I want to talk about the time that I called a hotline for help. Now this was several years back. It was after my son was killed. And first let me go back and explain to you who may be new on my channel and don't know this. I suffer from depression. I have for many years. When I first had it, I didn't know that's what it was. This was back in the mid-'80s, maybe. Yeah, probably mid-'80s. Ginger got up here. Hi. Anyway, I just knew that I felt sad and lonely all the time and weepy, even though I had family around me. At that time, I had 3 children. In the evenings, after we would finish our meal, I would go in a little room off of one of the bedrooms. It was kind of like a closet. It didn't have poles in it like you put your clothes on, and there were windows in it. But it was kind of like just a spare little storage room, I guess. And I had my sewing machine in there and crafting items and some books and stuff. And I do remember that I used to go in there, lock the door, and lay on the floor and sleep most of the time. Sometimes I would sit in there and read. Sometimes I would sew. But mostly I just went in there to be alone and lay on the floor and sleep. Now, in the morning, I would get up in time to help my husband feed the kids breakfast, get them dressed, and off on the bus. And then after my husband left to go to work, I would get back in bed and sleep pretty much all day. And I would get up in time for my husband to get off work and fix supper with him and the kids. And depending on how I felt, I might stay in the living room with them and watch some TV, but generally I went back in that same little room. Now, that was depression, but I didn't know it at that time. Then in the late 90s, at one of my doctor's appointments, I mentioned it to the doctor. I said, is there anything you can give me? I may be suffering from depression. I don't know. I said, I feel sad and lonely and weepy and just desperate all the time. And of course, he asked me the question, do you ever feel like you might want to hurt yourself or unalive yourself? And I said, no. It wasn't never to that point. I just felt sad all the time. Even at times when I should be happy, I felt sad. So I remember he prescribed me the medicine. At that time, I believe it was called Zoloft. That was real popular for depression back in the 90s. And I think that's what he prescribed me. And I took it for a while, but it didn't seem like it helped. So eventually I just stopped taking it, and I didn't renew my prescription to it, my prescription. Subscription. Anyway, fast forward to where we're at now. For those of you not familiar, I have only one child. The other children that I were talking about were stepchildren that were in full custody of my husband, and I was helping to raise them because we were married and living together. So I did have 3 children at one time, but I myself only have one child, a son. And back in 2018, he was killed. So this was about 2 months after, maybe around 2 or 3 months after he was killed. I was still severely grieving over him and, fast forwarding myself into the future, what it was going to be like not having a child and not being able to hear his voice and talk to him again, and not having grandchildren if he ever got married. I was just projecting myself into all these things, feeling like just desperate because my only child had been killed And I didn't know what the future was going to hold for me. Um, so I did tell my doctor about it, and I've seen a lady doctor at this time, had put me on a antidepressant, and that's what I'm on right now. The name of the one they got me on now is called venlafaxine, and I'm thinking next time I go to my doctor's appointment that I might try to see about maybe changing the dosage, or even maybe putting me on a different kind. I don't really feel like it's working to the capacity that it needs to. But anyway, probably about 2 or 3 months after my son was killed, I was doing all these things. I was just feeling I was crying a lot. That's to be expected because I was grieving. But maybe grieving him unnecessary. I don't know. Everybody grieves differently, and I know it takes time. Some people grieve for years when they lose somebody, and they probably never get over it. I don't know that I'll ever get over it. But at that time, I was seriously in the deep throes of depression, to where I was crying all the time and walking from room to room, looking at photographs of him on the wall, and sitting in a chair and opening solo albums, and looking at pictures and just thinking, why? Why did this happen to him? He was 36. Why did he have to die, And Lord, why did you take my son? And that kind of thing. Well, I had found on Facebook some telephone numbers that you could call for hotlines for help if you needed somebody to talk to. I remember there was one for drugs, there was one for overeating, and there was one for depression or unaliving yourself. So they give you the option of either calling direct and talking to someone, or you could text. If you didn't feel like talking live to a person, you could send text messages. So that's what I did. I contacted the one that was for unaliving, and I did it by text message. Now, I don't know if what I actually got on there was a real person or if it was a robot. But anyway, I texted the information, and a reply came back to me. And at first they started off with, hello, what's your name? How are you feeling today? Can you help me understand what it is you're needing to talk about today? That's how the conversation started. It's kind of easing you into it slowly. So I texted in there the situation about my son, that he was my only child, he was young, he was killed, and I was having a hard time getting over it. So the text came back, and he or she or the robot or whatever it was answered and asked me another question, and I answered that question, and it came back and asked me another, and I answered that. Well, the whole time it was answering these questions, I wasn't feeling any help, because the texts that were coming back were just basically repeating back to me the same thing that I was saying. And I do understand that when you go for therapy a lot of time, the therapists will do that because they want you to, they reflect, it's called reflecting. They're reflecting back to you what you tell them, so that you understand that they listened to you and they heard what you said. So that's what this text was doing, this robot or person. Like if I said, I'm feeling awfully sad because my son was killed, it would type back, so you feel like you're very sad because your only child was killed. And then I would type, yes, I don't know why this had to happen to me. It seems like bad things always happen to me. And then the text would come back. You're feeling very sad and desperate because it seems like bad things always happen to you. That's how the whole conversation was going. Me answering a question and then it typing back the same thing that I typed to the telephone number, and then asking me another question and doing it again. And so I don't know how long I was on the phone, But I do know that I wasn't receiving the help that I felt like I needed. And so eventually I just hung up because I thought, why? Maybe if I had talked to a live person, I would have had better results because I could ask them, why do you keep repeating the same things to me? Why don't you help me to understand my feelings and give me ways that I can deal with it? Maybe give me some things that I can do to take my mind off of this and alleviate all this depression being here with me. But I never did. I never called it back. Now, I do still have that card on the wall in there, and that's for just in case if something was to come up and I felt like I needed to talk to someone again, I could go on there and I could text or I could call or whatever. But I do know that next time I see my doctor, when I go in for my physical, they will, of course, they'll draw blood and do all the tests and stuff to see if anything's changed, and then they'll adjust my medication. Give me either take away a prescription because I'm better or increase the dosage, like for a high blood pressure and I'm on a cholesterol. They'll monitor my weight, which I know I've lost weight. I know that. I have lost weight since last time in. That's a good thing. I'm not complaining about that. I'm not going to complain about losing weight. And I will discuss with him, that I feel like that my antidepressant either needs to be a different dosage, a higher dosage, or put me on a different type, or maybe even prescribe another one to go along with that. Because I see these commercials on TV where people are on an antidepressant and they talk to their doctor and they give them an additional one to go with it to work with that antidepressant. They're always coming up with new medicines, better ones. If you're on something for 10 years down the road, they're always improving things and making better things and doing stuff to make that medicine work better. And so they may have something new that they could put me on that would do a better job. But I just know that I still suffer from depression. I probably will all my life. It was suggested to me by somebody that I might be bipolar. I will bring that up with my doctor too. I don't know if there's any tests that they run to see if you're, to test you for being bipolar or exactly how that goes. But I will talk to my doctor about that and see, and just tell her all the things that I've been experiencing and how I'm feeling, and along with the drawing of the blood and all the tests, the urine tests and what they do, she can figure out why I'm going through all the episodes and stuff that I am. But I do know that I don't know for everybody. Maybe some people can be cured of depression. I don't know that much about it. But I feel like in my case, I'll probably have it for the rest of my life. I'll never be over it. There will be days when I feel really good, like today. I feel fine today. I have no issues. In fact, I'm fixing to take my laundry and fold it up and put it away, and wash some dishes, maybe do some baking. I'm working on getting ready another video that I'm going to do, and there will be a food haul because the upcoming video that I'm going to do is part of my meal planning that I do every 4 weeks, not monthly. I do it every 4 weeks at a time. And I've got that to work on. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to talk about in this video. I wanted to tell you about the time that I did call a hotline for help, what my experience was with it, how they handled my case, specifically to me. They probably don't handle everybody's that way, but that's just what happened with me, how they did it. Like I said, that's been 3, 4, 5 years ago, so it may not even be there anymore. I don't know. But anyway, that is my experience with it. Thank you, everyone, for coming to visit with us today. Remember, your life is like a vapor. It's very short. Anything could happen. So make the absolutely best that you can of your life. And y'all come back and see us any old time. Thanks and have a wonderful day. Bye, y'all.